I thank the organizers for inviting me to this panel discussion on access to genetic resources. My name is Casey Bansal. I'm a member of the Board of Directors Global Plant Council. I'm a plant scientist and having interest in biotechnology and plant genetic resources. The topic for my presentation today is potential conflicts related to DSI. DSI, digital sequence information. Digital sequence information is derived from plant genetic resources, which is any genetic material of plant origin of actual or potential value for food and agriculture. And these plant genetic resources are utilized globally by plant breeders for developing new crop varieties, for meeting their demands for food and nutrition security. And also any country for that matter is interdependent, for these requirement of PGRs for meeting their demands for food through conventional breeding or developing improved crop varieties. And due to this recent climate change and population growth pressures on food production system, there is an enhanced use requirement of these plant genetic resources by plant breeders and other biotechnology scientists. Now in 1993, an international treaty on Convention on Biological Diversity, which is a legally binding instrument, came into being with an objective, three objectives, which is conservation of biological diversity, including also agrobiodiversity and plant genetic resources, sustainable use of its components, and third objective, which is important for today's discussion, is fair and equitable sharing of benefits arising out of the utilization of these plant genetic resources. And also CBD provides a national ownership to any country for that matter who are parties to the CBD on genetic resources present in its jurisdiction. And also if someone has to access the genetic resources from a country or who's a party to the CBD, it has to be based on mutually agreed terms and with prior informed consent on a bilateral basis. Now before CBD, however, the PGRs were collected and exchanged freely. I'm giving an example here of collection and use of wheat genetic resources by Norman Borlaug, who utilized these wheat genetic resources and developed new wheats which were semi-dwarf and high-yielding, and which gave birth to green revolution. And countries like India and around became self-sufficient as a result of that. And Norman Borlaug got a Nobel Peace Prize in 1970 for this. And we have, in fact, phenotyped and evaluated the entire gene bank collection of wheat, about 22,000 accessions, and developed a core, and also identified new sources of resistance for rust and spot blotch and for powdery mildew. If I want to exchange this material or send it from India to, for example, Niels Steen in Germany for genotyping, it has to go through a national legislation and it is no more freely available. And therefore, the access to genetic resources is regulated for food and agriculture. And it is also being now considered that whether DSI should also be subjected to this kind of regulation or not. And there's a discussion going on, and this is what is the topic of even today's panel discussion. Now, genetic resources which are used by breeders, through conventional breeding, the improved commercial products and varieties are developed, and these which are then subjected, because of the Nagoya Protocol, to benefit sharing. Benefit sharing, which is used basically as an incentive for biodiversity conservation by those countries from where these genetic resources must have been accessed. Now, on the other hand, we have now today derived, this digital sequence information from many of these genetic resources. And this digital sequence information is utilized because of the recent developed, these new plant breeding technologies, genetic engineering included, like genome editing, and also results in the production of several crop improved varieties, which are then commercialized and also is likely to be subjected, because of the Nagoya Protocol, to benefit sharing, to different nations from where these genetic resources must have been, originally used. But then there are, in fact, questions when we talk of the utilization of DSI and subjecting it to, or regulating DSI, use and subjecting to benefit sharing. For example, what is the definition of DSI? Who owns DSI? And what is the role of researchers who have generated this DSI utilizing these genetic resources? The researchers who have developed methodologies and whole genome sequencing of different crops and other genetic resources has taken place. So I think it's important to somehow see that their role is also identified, which is not easy again. And also we need to know what is the role of these open access databases, where all this material sequence information is stored for long and which is made available freely, to the researchers worldwide. So what is the conflict when we talk of the use of DSI and benefit sharing? Now, it has turned out that among the conference of parties, there is a divergence of views regarding benefit sharing from the use of DSI. Number one is that expected benefits are not shared. They're not shared if it is used, developed through DSI. That's the fear. And also, in fact, if DSI is regulated, or if it is rather not regulated and kept free, then it will probably circumvent the very physical access to those seeds and other genetic resources, and thus will probably avoid and reduce the benefit sharing obligations. But in my opinion, this is not realistic because access to genetic resources and seeds will always remain, so that plant breeders can continue developing new plant varieties by using these PGRs. And if it is regulated, if the DSI is regulated, then it will probably affect further innovation and development of science-based technologies. And there are several other challenges attached to when we talk of benefit sharing from the use of DSI. Now, in the first place, whether DSI falls within the scope of ABS, because when we talk of Nagoya Protocol, it is the genetic resources which are attached with benefit sharing, not the DSI. Second is there are difficulties in determining value of the DSI, which is used for crop product development, identifying providers and users, determining provenance of the material from where it must have been originally obtained or procured, and monitoring of commercialization of products, traceability concerns for DSI use, while blockchain-based technology is recommended for tracing, but it turns out to be complex, expensive, and not sound environmentally. So therefore, I think it is important that the plant scientists need to have a voice in the policies developed internationally, particularly we're talking with regard to the use of DSI. And we say that DSI should remain in open access to support science and innovation, not only to support science and innovation, even it's required for the protection of biodiversity. And if we want to attach it with monetary benefit sharing, I think we need a balanced approach. And also there are ways that through non-monetary benefits also, the benefits can be realized through technology transfer, partnership and collaboration, information exchange, and capacity building. So finally, the scientists feel that unlimited and open access to DSI is needed for sustainable use of these biological diversity for meeting the challenges of climate change, food security, and sustainable development goals of the United Nations by 2030. Thank you with this, and again, I thank the organizers for this opportunity. Thank you, friends.